All clear.
They're probably right.
Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our Paws On Animation channel and our podcast.
And today we're covering the Nickelodeon movie, Barnyard! Finally!
Yes, this will be by far one of Nickelodeon's best movies despite such a weird premise and reviews. So once again, it's time to give an underrated film some love. But
before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, click on some future podcasts, and we'll pause videos.
Thank you so much for joining us today, subscribing, sharing our videos, commenting. Hope you're enjoying your summer. As always, we appreciate everything you do.
Yeah.
This is one of those movies we couldn't believe we hadn't covered yet. We don't know how we managed to overlook Barnyard. Or Barnyard, the original party animal. Why is sometimes, you know?
Why does it have two titles? And we had actually talked about this movie a few times throughout the years. We've actually owned this movie for quite a while. And there was actually a point earlier this year where people were talking about the spin-off series Back of the Barnyard and just how manic and crazy and off the walls it was. It was like the original brain rot, really. And then people started talking about the original movie, and it was like night and day. The movie is so different, and this was first from the series. Despite how it sounds, it's a kind of serious film.
Now, Playmaker asked us to take a look at the series, which we might do sometime later this year. If we do review it, it won't be out until sometime next year.
Right.
Now, for those of you not familiar with Barnyard, it's a 2006 comedy film.
Yes.
Produced by Nickelodeon Movies and O Entertainment.
And so it's simple comedy.
Written and directed and produced by Steve Odekirk. And he has an all-star cast. And it tells the story of Otis, a carefree Holstein cow, who they say is actually a male bullock with an udder. But we won't get into that. We're just going to say cow.
Yeah, because that's easier.
This movie runs 90 minutes. And what's really interesting about this movie is that when it came out, it was panned. Critics panned it. Rotten Tomatoes, before it was rotten, said they hated it. Metacritic said they hated it. The Orlando Sentinel hated it. Many newspapers around the world hated it. But guess what? The people in the theaters loved it. With a $51 million budget, it earned over $118 million at the theater.
Wow. Hey, so they spoke with their money, right?
Exactly. And we love it too, and we own it. So poo on you, critics. This movie is fun, outrageous. The great part about it is that there are lessons within this madness.
Yes.
Very good life lessons for anyone of any age.
Right.
And if your kids are watching this, they're going to be party
animals. Yeah. And what's interesting about it, once again, is that it had a spin-off series. And we saw the movie first, of course, because the series didn't come out till a few years later. And it is, and we actually saw it in theaters too. Before we get in the DVD, we did see it in the theaters, and it was fantastic. People around us that were watching it too really enjoyed it.
That's when you used to be able to go see movies that have already been in theaters, and you get to see them on $2 Mondays during the summer.
Right.
And I miss that so much. There's no way in heck you're going to get a $2 anything in the theater now. Not even candy, not even a bottle of water. But that was fun. You would go every Monday.
Right.
Of course, this is before apps and all the streaming and things.
Exactly.
But you would be there with a whole bunch of other kids.
Right.
And it was fun.
Right. And when you hear this premise, it's kind of funny. You hear this premise. It says, "Move over all you pretenders. Here are the original party animals, the anime gang of Barnyard." Roll credits. This laugh-filled adventure stars Otis, a carefree cow who spends his day singing, dancing, playing tricks on humans, much to the dismay of his father, Ben. Wild, wacky, and utterly hilarious, here's a herd of animated pranksters that'll keep you laughing out loud. Now, granted, they didn't spoil anything in here. They just gave you really the fun premise of it. You don't get to the actual meaning of the movie until you start watching about 30 or 40 minutes in. And it actually takes a dark turn. It missed all the comedy and fun, which is still funny even all these years later. There's a point here where the movie actually got dark. And especially with his father, Ben, who's been constantly telling him he needed to take leadership one day and take responsibility. And clearly he's supposed to be, like, I guess a teenager in a way, or maybe 18 in their world, because all he wants to do is goof off, have fun with his friends and everything, and kind of doesn't take it seriously.
Well, I hope he's not a teen.
He's an adult.
Yeah, he's got to be an adult because he falls for Daisy, who was married with her husband.
So
and
he's
pregnant,
just,
and the husband got taken out.
right.
So he must be a
young adult, right?
Yeah.
And then this isn't a spoiler because this movie is
2006.
Yeah, so it's almost 20 years old.
Mm-hmm.
There's a point where they're supposed to defend the barnyard from coyotes because they come, and it's coyote season. They come and take hens usually, and the farmer can't get the revenue he needs from the eggs, and they end up going missing. So it's usually, I guess, the main cow's job to defend the chicken coop. And Otis kind of talked his way out of taking his shift, and he wanted to go party and do a musical. Yes, seriously. And when time comes that the coyotes do attack, Ben fights them off himself, and they have a Lion King moment where he unfortunately dies. And that's when it actually becomes a more serious movie. There's still humor, but there's actually like a huge impact after this. To the point it's like you forget how serious this got till you start watching.
But the great thing is, it is wrapped so well, where you've got that comedy sort of being the outer layer, and then you've got that event in the middle, and you've got the lessons that kind of spread throughout it. It was well done.
Yes,
it definitely was well done, and we can thank for that Steve Odekirk. Again, written, directed, and produced by, edited by Paul Calder and Billy Wilder. So he did a great job. Yeah. And this definitely stands the test of time. It's got total rewatch value. It didn't feel dated. It seemed like this movie came out yesterday. Yeah. Now, for those of you going, why they doesn't look like it because of animation? We're not talking about the animation. Animation's good. But we're talking about in terms of rewatch value, the humor, storytelling, likable characters, everything that goes in a movie that you want to watch and love. Barnyard has it. Yes.
And think about the other time when you had these other prime Nickelodeon movies out, and they always went to theaters, and really majority of them were successes. You had SpongeBob movie, and that had a lesson in it.
The best one.
Right. You had Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius, which had a lesson in it. You had the Rugrats movie, which had a lesson in it. But I think what makes Barnyard stand out is that it was a much more serious one. It was almost like ones for ones who were growing up. You had SpongeBob teach about, keep your childhood. You had Jimmy with, being grateful for your parents. Yeah. You had Rugrats where being family was better than anything. And here was taking responsibility because you don't know what's coming next.
And appreciating your friends and family.
Right. Because there's a point in there where the other animals kind of like, oh, well, he's in charge. That means we can party all day, all night. And they mourn his father, but the next day they're like, wait a minute, that means we can do anything. It's like, what the heck's wrong with you people? But they come through for him in the end because they still manage to have a good balance after they get all of the party animal antics in. They get their serious part in, and then they actually do a good job of melding both together by the third act, even with the nosy neighbors getting involved, which is probably everyone's favorite part, but especially mine when I watched it as a kid.
Don't forget
Snotty boy.
It's just a great movie, and I feel so bad for the farmer because he keeps getting repeatedly kicked in the head in one scene when he sees them. Yes. And so Miles kicks him. Yeah. And then when he wakes up, he kicks him again.
Because he saw him.
He wakes up and he kicks him again.
Yes.
It's like he should have no brain.
He said, well, you stop doing that.
And it's like, this is animation because there's no way in heck the farmer will have any sense. And he finally wakes up and they've gotten everything cleared away. Yes. And he looks around confused. He should have not known his own name, or where he was,
where he lived,
who he was, or anything else, or where the cow was. Right. Many times they kicked him.
Right. Oh, that's right. We forgot to mention the premise of this is sort of similar to Toy Story, where the humans can't see that they can walk and talk. They usually do this party stuff when the farmer's away or he's asleep, and only Mrs. Beatty keeps knowing that they're doing stuff and she can never prove it. But she's crazy anyway.
Now we want to mention we also own the video game that came out. It was
Yes.
produced by THQ and Blue Tongue Entertainment.
Yes.
And it's an adventure game where you name your own cow.
Yes.
And you walk around the barnyard and play mini games. The only drawback is it's only one player at a time.
Yeah,
But it is so much fun that even when the other person is playing, you're sitting there and you're engrossed and you're just having a good time. It is exactly like the movie.
Yes.
One of the best adaptations of into a video game ever.
Right. And they keep the storyline of the movie in there. You're just playing a newcomer and then seeing the movie unfold while you play the game. They even get involved in the final battle.
And you have day to day to day. So you have the sun going down, you do activities at night. The sun comes up, you do activities during the day. Usually during the day you're working or having chores and things taken care of. And at night they party like they do in the movie.
Yes.
But this game is so much fun. And now I want to get it out and play it again for the summer.
It was like the original, I don't know if it's a Sims game or a life simulator. It was like the original life simulator game where you had your tasks and chores and stuff to do for the day and you just keep at it.
So this was one of the best franchises Nickelodeon had, and it's unfortunate that it pretty much is being forgotten.
Yeah.
But it was so good to go back and watch it. It's going to be great to play that game.
Yeah.
And that being said, let's go over the fantastic, perfect cast they had in this movie. In the titular role as Otis is Kevin James.
Of all people. Yep.
Courtney Cox is Daisy, and she's the widow pregnant cow that he ends up with at the end of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Sam Elliott is Ben, another perfect casting.
Definitely unexpected.
And you didn't know he was adopted until later when he was telling her that he took him in and treated him as his own son.
Mm-hmm.
And they never acted as if it was anything different. And I like those days when people didn't keep saying, adopted, adopted, adopted. They're the person's child. That's it. And the labels are ridiculous and you people need to stop.
Ooh,
That being said, Danny Glover as Miles, the mule that keeps kicking the farmer in the head. And he's Ben's childhood friend. And then Wanda Sykes is Bessie. Bessie the cow.
Oh my
and
God.
she's Daisy's friend. Andy McDowell is Etta. She was one of the hens and Maddie's mother. David Cockner is Dag, the sadistic leader of Coyote Pack.
Right.
And he was excellent in the role.
Yes.
Absolutely excellent. Jeffrey Garcia is Pip, wisecracking mouse, and actually Otis's best friend, which we thought was
right, the mouse.
Tino Asana is Pig, and Pig was likable even though he had no sense. He was like another version of Patrick.
Right. True.
Donna as Duke, a border collie.
Mm-hmm.
Cam Clark is Freddie, the ferret.
Couldn't believe that.
That ferret, oh my God. Rob Paulson was Peck, and he also was a gopher. And one of the pizza delivery twins.
Oh my God.
And Scott Bullock is Eddie, the leader of the Jersey Cows, who speak with New Jersey accents.
Oh my gosh.
John DiMaggio is Bud of the Jersey Cows. He also voices Frederick O'Hanlon, the police officer. Morris LaMarche, yes, they're together again, is Ig, another Jersey cow. Maria Bamford is Noreen Beatty, the busybody neighbor and the aunt of Snotty Boy. Yes. And she is aware that they're anthropomorphic and they can talk and do things because she's seen it. Yes. But her husband doesn't believe her. Fred Tatasciore is the farmer. Oh, farmer buyer. Who voiced her husband?
You know, I'm not sure. It could have been Fred Tatasciore, right? Or no? Because they got it kind of sound similar.
Well, we'll find out later. Lovejoy is Maddie.
Your mind's gone, woman.
Earthquake is Ruth, a handsome rooster. And that's Nathan Stroman, known by the stand-up name of Earthquake.
Oh my
Jill
God.
Talley as Serena Goldner, Snotty Boy's mom.
Oh my God.
Lorraine Newman and Caddy Lee as Snotty Boy's friends.
That was a surprise.
Frank Walker as the coyote, the vocal effects. Oh. Jane Karkowski as a coyote with a feminine voice.
Oh my God.
And then they also used archival recordings of Shaggy's bombastic for Biggie Cheese.
Oh
the
God!
mouse rapper.
And for some reason, that mouse has lasted. For some reason.
This movie is fantastic. If you haven't seen it, you really have missed out on a part of pop culture that for a while stayed relevant before the internet became king.
Right.
But it stayed relevant for years, and people watched it for years. As we mentioned, it had a TV show, video games. It's just one of those movies that once you see it, you won't forget it. And again, it has great rewatch value. So
Yes.
if you've seen Barnyard, let us know in the comments. Did you love it as much as we do? Have you seen it recently? Did you watch it when it came out of the theaters? Tell us your thoughts. And if you haven't seen it, again, go get Barnyard. I don't know if it's at the library. I don't know anymore. You probably have to go see it on Paramount.
Yeah.
It's available because these streaming services are taking everything out. But hopefully you're able to find it, watch it, come back, and tell us what you think.
And if you haven't already, subscribe for updates, weekly videos for anime series, anime shows, and all things animation.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us during your wonderful, hopefully fantastic summer. And as always,
You are special. Thank you so much for watching Rascal Entertainment.
And I'm Mom Entertainment.
Have a fantastic day.
Peace.
The original party animals.
You really ordered a lot of pizzas.